Ethos. Ethos. Untold stories of success. Stories of success. Welcome to EBB Ethos, where we are joined by our guest Mariana, a musical artist, producer, mix engineer, and currently head audio engineer for Grammy-award winning producer Om'mas Keith. Mariana, very excited for you to join us today and providing listeners the opportunity to hear your story.
Wow, thank you. I feel important. I'm not, but
hey, you are important. You are important.
Thank you. I like you already.
Hey, I appreciate that. And once again, thank you for joining us. And I suppose we'll start with your background and how you ended up in music. And the first question I'll start off with is, did you always know you wanted to be a part of music as a career?
No. Actually, I was supposed to be a swimmer. I wanted to be like an Olympic swimmer when I was growing up.
Oh.
Yeah, my entire family, it's a family of swimmers. My dad's a coach. He traveled the world swimming and coaching the Brazilian national team. So
oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I was expected to be a swimmer, and I wanted to as well, but it got to a point in high school where I was like, this shit sucks, you know? So so I just started recording shit in my basement before and after practice, and eventually I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do this, and I did it.
What was the part for you that sucked about swimming or that pushed you away from it?
Exercise.
I can feel that.
Yeah. But also, I'm not a very competitive person. I don't like the feeling of having to beat someone, or I'm very just here, laid back. I don't want to have to worry about that. So that always didn't do me very well, and yeah, I was just over it. Yeah.
Okay, I feel that. So how did you end up with the opportunity to work with Om'mas Keith?
Man, it's kind of a long story. Should I dive into it or should I not?
We got time for stories here.
Okay, great. Well, as soon as I graduated high school, I moved out here to go to the Music Institute on Hollywood, the Musicians Institute. And while I was there, Anderson .Paak, he actually studied at the school that I studied at. So he came one day and he did this thing where one person from every curriculum, there was a keyboard program, there was a guitar program, a bass program, and I was in the keyboard program. Okay. The teachers would choose one person out of each instrument to have a little studio session with them. Mm-hmm. And they chose me for keyboard, so I went and I met him, and I took pictures and everything, and I posted a picture of him on my Instagram, and I guess it made me look important. Because one day I followed Om'mas, and I guess he was super bored, on his phone. And he saw the notification, and he was like, who's this? And he saw me with Anderson, because he was working with him at the time. And so he messaged me. He was like, who are you? He thought I was important. And I completely flipped my shit. Because Channel Orange is, what made me, say, I 100% sure want to do music. That shit, changed my life. Yeah, and he produced it, so... When that happened, it was wild. And then I just asked him, I was like, do you need an intern by any chance? And he was like, sure. And that started. So I started interning, and I did it for a year. And now I'm doing shit.
Man, that is awesome opportunity. And honestly, you getting an opportunity to work with someone that produced one of your favorite works of all time. Does it still feel the same as far as working with him? As far as that same excitement, or do you have a different sense since you've spent a little bit of time with him by now?
Right, man, I don't know. I try not to think about it, but when I do, it's just I still get wow, that's such a huge coincidence, because that album was like the thing for me. That was my album. It was mine. So I don't know, man. The universe is weird, so I just let it take its course and lay back and enjoy the ride. Really, I don't think about it too much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel that. So you've had the opportunity to do audio engineering. You also do your own music. Is there a balance you try to take when doing that, or as far as different mindsets when you're engineering for someone else and when you're creating your own music?
Right. Well, I like to be more creative, and engineering can be very creative actually, but not as creative as you can get with actually writing and producing, music you're on your own. So I have been doing a lot of engineering recently. I stopped doing engineering and now I'm just mixing. So that's totally different. But I'm trying to get back into actually writing and producing more because I miss the creative side of music a little bit. But
would you say creating music is more your preference rather than mixing?
It depends on my mood. Some days I wake up and I'm just like, I'm not in the mood to like come up with something. So I'll just mix, and it's nice. It's very what's the word? Calming for me. Like how some people like to draw and it's just like calming, or like coloring books, like adult coloring books, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so like mixing is like that to me. It's very peaceful. I don't know. It's nice.
Hey, this is Kevin. You're listening to Ethos. If you or someone you know has a story to tell, slide into our DMs at EBB Ethos and we'll hit you back. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Now, going to your own self as an artist, I noticed that in most cases, in any public images of you, and actually the first time I was introduced to you, you had your face covered. And I was just curious if there's a deeper reason behind it.
I mean, I don't think people should be worried about what I look like. Like that's so pointless. Like we're born into bodies that we have no say over, and some people just got fucked up faces. You can't fix that shit, and some days I feel like that. So it's like, I just don't let other people worry about it. So I just wear a mask. It's very freeing, I feel like.
Okay. And has it always been like that for you, as far as you, not trying to worry about what other people think of you, or not allowing or not giving people the opportunity to judge you strictly upon, I guess, your looks? Has that always been something you've had in mind?
Not always. It just kind of started happening recently. Actually, Riyadh was in the car with me when I bought my first mask. Do you remember that? I asked you what color. I was like, I feel like it would be nice to wear masks sometimes. And I was like, what color should I get? And you said, no. It was between blue and green. And you said green because blue is too cliche. So, hold on. When was that? That was more than 4 months ago. That was like half a year ago. I don't know. So yeah, so that started, and I put it on. I was like, whoa, like people don't know what I look like right now. Like that's so lit, Because when they first meet you, they gotta judge you based on what they see, and that's totally normal. Like we do that unconsciously. Like it's just normal for us to judge people by what we see when we first meet. So when I put the mask on, I was like, whoa, like they can't do that, and I like that. True. So I was like, I think this might be a thing, perhaps.
Nice. Did Om'mas have any thoughts on it? Were you already doing that by the time you met him?
Om'mas, I mean, I brought it up to Om'mas and he was like, yeah, sure, that's cool. Not very many words. I mean, yeah, he thought it was cool. So that's nice.
What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned with working with Om'mas Keith, considering how accomplished he is?
Oh man, listen to as much music as you possibly can, as many different styles of music as you possibly can. Like to not box yourself into like, oh, I'm an R&B producer, so like all you listen to really is R&B music. Because when you're working with Om'mas, he likes to reference a lot. So like whenever he comes with an idea, he was like, this sounds familiar. And then he'll listen to a song and like, not steal, but like take inspiration from something from that song and then take inspiration from something from a different song. And it's just like all this crazy music. And it's music from like all around the world. Like it's so many different genres. But once it all comes together, it fits perfectly, Yeah. So it's like, don't box yourself in with genres and all that kind of stuff. Just everything is music, really. And
how do you feel that mindset as far as being willing and having the open mind to listen to a bunch of different music? How has that progressed you?
It expanded my mind in so many different ways, especially when I'm producing, like when I'm creating. I just ideas come easier, like It's just because I know more about music because I've listened to so many different sounds and noises from all different genres that whenever I'm working on something, I get more ideas because I have more to pull inspiration from, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. And do you feel like the work you're doing now aligns with your own personal long-term goals?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is just the very beginning, so I hope to keep going. The project I'm working on right now actually I'm super excited about it, and it's going to be sick, and it's exactly the type of music that I listen to on the day-to-day basis, so I'm excited about it. I'm probably going to listen to it, because usually you can't listen to music you make, because you hear it so many times, but I will definitely be listening to this album that I'm working on. It's Ronald Bruner's next album. He's Thundercat's brother, plays the drums, and it's got a whole lot of sick features. It's gonna be amazing.
Nice. How did you earn that opportunity?
Through an old engineer of Om'mas's. He contacted Riyadh because Ronald needed help engineering for something, and then they needed a mix engineer, and then Riyadh brought up my name, and it's just kind of started from there.
Nice, awesome. And since you've done both as far as with producing and doing your own music, what are your thoughts on producers that are also musicians?
I mean, those are the best types of producers, right? The more instruments you can play, the more you know about music, the easier it is to get out. So props to producers that are also musicians. It's a lot more difficult when you just play by ear,
Yeah.
Because I used to do that way back in high school when I was still learning how to play shit. And it's a lot slower. So yeah, at least keys.
Oh, so you play an instrument?
Yeah, I do. I play keys, a little bit of guitar and bass. And I used to play drums, but I've been slacking on that. So I probably can't right now.
And is it sort of a conscientious decision as far as learning different instruments as far as helping you out as producing? Or I guess what I'm saying is, do you feel like knowing instruments and knowing the theory behind it as far as how to play different instruments helps you out when you're mixing?
When I'm mixing, yeah, I think so, yeah, because you know the way things are supposed to sound because you play them yourself, It's like, oh, he was trying to do this with that lick and I should bring this note out, so I should automate this note up just half a dB, that kind of stuff. So it definitely helps with mixing as well.
Yeah. Are there any individuals in particular that you take inspiration from?
Man, a lot of people, and not just music people either. I like a lot of art and poetry as well. But if we're just talking about music, I'm a really big fan of Frank Ocean, obviously. I have to be. Man, I don't know. There's just nothing like Frank. The way he writes his melodies, just the things he says, and it's just everything. I don't know. It's just crazy. He's always number one for me. And then also I've been getting into Radiohead a lot, and they are absolutely insane. Oh my God. That shit's crazy. I'm listening to Kid A on repeat recently. So they are big for me right now.
Are there any particular aspects or things that they do, whether it's Frank Ocean or Radiohead, that you try to take from them and insert into your own work?
Just the musicality, just the authentic way they create their music. It all means something. Every sound they record, every note, every word, it all means something. And I think that's dope. They're not just making music to play on the radio for people to listen to. They're making music for people to feel something. Yeah, that was cliche. But it's true.
Yeah. You're focused on making music that makes people feel something.
Yeah, for sure. I think any other type of music is kind of pointless. And the feeling doesn't have to be deep feeling, deep thoughts. I mean, feeling happy or a song that makes you dance, that's feeling too. So, I mean, those are all valid for sure.
Is there any particular feeling you try to have people, I guess, for lack of a better term, feel for the type of music you make?
Yeah, I want people to have to think about what they're hearing. What does she mean by this? Or what story is she trying to tell? Or why did she put this sound in? I want people to actually think about it while they're listening to it. Which is what I do a lot with Frank, especially because he likes to storytell a lot in his music. So you have to listen to what he's saying and hear the story and then realize all the music around it adds environment, and it's like this crazy thing. So I would like that to happen with my shit. That would be great.
Is that more so through the lyrics within the music or the beats, or maybe a combination of both?
I mean, it's both, because the lyrics is the thing telling the story, right? It's where you're getting the information from, and then the music is what's creating the environment around it. So it's like the scenery, if that makes sense. So you gotta both. They're both equally as important, I think.
Awesome. And obviously, you've been getting a lot of instruction from Om'mas Keith and probably various individuals you've had an opportunity to work with in the studio. So just wondering your thoughts on mentorship, and if there are any other particular mentors you would like to point out that helped you out in your journey.
It's always nice to have a mentor. I mean, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing when I was, before I met Om'mas. I was just about to graduate from the Music Institute, and I had no idea what I was doing or how I was going to start or anything. I was driving for Postmates for money at the time. And I don't know, Om'mas just really like started a path for me. You know, he was like opened a whole fuck ton of doors. So, but I think the important thing is that I asked, because a lot of people aren't very vocal. Like they won't ask because they're afraid, like, oh, they're not going to see it, or oh, they're just going to say no. But I mean, like, you're not going to know unless you ask. So that's very important for people trying to get somewhere. Just find people and talk and ask, because otherwise, you know, how are you going to get anything if you don't ask for it? So what was the second part of the question?
Any particular additional mentors that have been a part of your life?
Yes. Shout out Dave Isaac. He did a class at my school, and he's mixed and produced for like a fuck ton of people. Like Marcus Miller, particularly. I love Marcus Miller. Shout out Marcus Miller. I love you. I have a CD in my car. Anyway, yeah, so he's great. He helped me a lot on the mixing side, because he's a great mix engineer. And but yeah, I think Om'mas and Dave were the two big ones that helped me get shit done.
Okay. So how do you feel about the place you're in today? Because you've worked with Om'mas Keith, worked with the Anderson .Paak. You have a project going on with Ronald Bruner. And at this point, how do you feel about your success? And do you feel like there's more to do from here?
Man, I don't like to think about the future. I think the furthest I think ahead is like what I'm going to eat in a few hours, you know? I just let... I just...
Stay in the present.
Exactly. Like, I'm too tired for thinking that far ahead. I used to do that, and it's just too exhausting. So, I trust the universe, that the universe has got my back, because the second I started letting go and not stressing is when shit started happening. So, I just do my thing and chill and see what happens, you know?
What was the turning point that allowed you to do that? Because honestly, everybody's trying to get to a point where they're just able to have faith and trust that everything is going to be okay without worrying too much about the future. So what was the turning point in your life for that?
Well, it definitely started when I moved out here, because I was supposed to swim for college. I had a scholarship and everything, and I said, fuck that. And I just came out here, and I was like, whatever happens, happens. So that started, and then it really grew into full force like right before I hooked up with Om'mas. So and then once that happened, I was like, you know what, maybe I don't need to stress about anything. It's been working so far.
Nice. That's awesome. And is there more you feel like you want to learn from here?
Oh man, I always want to learn. Learning is so fun. That shit's crazy, yo. Learn every day. Never stop learning. Ever. It's impossible.
And from your perspective, is there anything different at all as far as being a woman in the music industry?
I mean, typically I am the only girl in the room a lot of times, especially in school as well. I was the only girl in like 90% of all of my classes. But I mean, I'm used to it by now, honestly. I don't get fazed by it. But no uncomfortable situations have happened to me yet. And I know that happens a lot in the music industry. So I'm lucky that it hasn't happened yet. But I think girls girls are starting to come back or come into the music industry a lot. Like I have a lot of friends that are starting to make music, and they're all women and they're badass. So it's about to get lit.
Hey, that's what's up. As far as more diversity, as far as doing the type of work you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's any particular reason for that? Why you've been one of the only girls or women in the room?
I don't think it's people mean for it to happen. I think it's just, it's just the way it's always been, and people don't really think about it until like they tell you like, oh, like what's the number? I think it's like 95% of people in the music industry are actually men. Like it's like a really high number, and it's just like, oh shit, like I didn't even realize that myself. But that number.
When you say 95% are male, do you mean for I guess leadership positions and engineers, mixers, or?
I think just the music industry as a whole. I don't know if it's 95. Okay. That could be completely wrong, but it's like a really, really high number. And when I heard that, it was like, oh wow, like I didn't even, realize that. And I've been around it this entire time. So I think the reason a lot of girls aren't in music is because they don't see girls in music. So I think more girls just need to start, being in music and start pushing that boundary forward. And then more girls will see women in the studio and be like, oh, hey, I want to do that, and then just do it. I think it's as simple as that.
True. Okay. And I guess before we end our podcast, wondering, do you have any more projects that you would like people to know about that are coming up, or anything you're working on currently?
I don't know how much I can say. How can I say?
Oh, wow. Big things in the works.
Yes, Kenneth Whalum, my boo, Kenneth Whalum. Do you know who that is? He's this dope-ass singer-songwriter. And very big in the like jazzy R&B scene. And I engineered a bunch on his album that's about to drop. I don't know the exact date. Fuck. But it's about to drop, Kenneth Whalum, and it's gonna be sick. That's gonna be fun. I mean, this Ronald Bruner thing is gonna be great. We got drum music coming that we worked on with Om'mas. Who else?
Awesome.
Who am I forgetting? Oh, Anderson music. I mean, a bunch of Anderson music. Oh yeah, Sean Ross. Duh, I knew I was forgetting. Sean Ross, my boo, Sean. His album is dropping soon. That's gonna be sick. Riyad's album is dropping. I don't know when it's dropping, but it's fall. You said fall. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be great. My boo boo Riyad.
Shout out to Riyad.
Shout out Riyad. I'm sure there's a lot more that I'm missing, but shout out to anyone I'm missing.
Hey, cover all your bases.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Mariana, really appreciate you taking the time to join us for this interview.
Thank you for having me. It was very nice.
And definitely provided some lessons and for that other people will be able to follow from, and really appreciate you taking the opportunity to share your story.
Wow. Well, thanks for letting me. It's been a great time.
Hey, no problem at all. Thanks for listening to EBB Ethos. Until the next time, peace.
Peace out.
Follow us on all social media at EBB Ethos.